This is DRF Race of the Day.
Well, the main race on Saturday at Del Mar is the Grade 1 $400,000 Hollywood Derby. 3-year-olds at 1 1/8 on grass. And a field of 15 entered, 14 can start. This is a deep, evenly matched group. I believe there are 4 top principal starters in the field, those being Subconscious, Cathkin Peak, Camp Hope, and program favorite Public Sector. Those are 4 good horses, and they're very tough to pick apart, but we're going to try to do just that. And although I'm going to end up picking Public Sector, there's another horse among those 4 that I'm a lot more interested in wagering on, simply because of the price discrepancy. But let's first take a look at the field of 15 entered in the Hollywood Derby. It's race number 9, the final race on the 9-race card, Saturday at Del Mar. And the Hollywood Derby is historically a very fun, deep, competitive race, and this race certainly no exception. The favorite, as you can see, number 6, Public Sector, shipping in for trainer Chad Brown. Chad Brown has won this race 3 of the last 5 years. Number 3, Cathkin Peak. We're going to be talking a little bit about him. He's the long shot that intrigues me. Let's flip the page and take a look at the horses on the outside, posts 11 through 15. And those include Camp Hope, shipping in from Kentucky for Ken McPeak, and Subconscious, who is 3 for 3 since he was gelded. He's a son of Tappet. You don't normally want to geld a son of Tappet, but they had to, because Subconscious's career was going nowhere until he was gelded. And since then, he has not lost. So those are the 4 main contenders: Subconscious, Cathkin Peak, Camp Hope, and Public Sector. And let's first talk a little bit about Subconscious. Subconscious lost his first 3 starts. His career was just he was kind of spinning his wheels. He finished nowhere. He finished second. He finished third. And at some point in time, a good horseman is realistic. And Richard Mandela is a good horseman. And in consultation with the owners, L&J Foxwoods, Mandela suggested that, look, maybe let's just geld this horse and turn him into a racehorse instead of hoping that he might eventually be a stallion. Well, it turned out to be a very good move, because Subconscious came back in wired maidens in August at Del Mar, and then he scored an impressive win in a one other than against older horses. In his second start back, he was wide every step of the way, and he won anyway. And then last time out, he delivered on the promise of his first 2 starts as a gelding. And this was in the Twilight Derby. Let's take a look at the stretch run, and Subconscious just taking care of business. He was very well backed in this race. He was forwardly placed, and that's, by the way, Cathkin Peak down on the inside. But Subconscious kicked away and won by 1 1/4 lengths. Good, solid win, his 3rd consecutive victory, and that's Cathkin Peak finishing well along the inside. We'll talk about him in just a minute, but a good, solid, decisive win by Subconscious, who has tactical speed, and he also can finish, and that is a heck of a combo for a turf horse. If you can be forwardly placed, or at least make your own trip, and then deliver a finishing punch like Subconscious did, it has done in all 3 of his starts, it's a very tough combination to beat. Now, here's the biggest knock, I think it's a knock, regarding Subconscious. That has nothing to do with his ability, but he did not draw a good post. He drew post number 12 in what will be a 14-horse field. And since 2014, there have been 88 grass races at Del Mar at 1 1/8. Posts 9 through 14 are a combined 4 for 88. So if you draw outside in a 1 1/8 mile grass race at Del Mar, your chances just took a huge hit. And that's where Subconscious is drawn. Post number 12, maybe he's good enough to overcome it, but I'm not usually a big post position guy. But in this case, 4 for 88, 1 1/8, post 9 through 14 at Del Mar the last 7 years. That's a tough stat to overcome. So I'm going to consider Subconscious vulnerable on that premise. The outside post does him no favors. And when you're playing at this level, there's not a whole lot of margin for error. Subconscious is facing a better field than he defeated in the Twilight Derby. One of the horses that some subconscious must defeat is a very good shipper from Kentucky by the name of Camp Hope. He's trained by Ken McPeak, and he's always been a good horse. And by always, I mean from the very start. He broke his maiden in his career debut on dirt last fall. And for his second career start, McPeak jumped him right into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He probably would not have shipped Camp Hope to a Breeders' Cup in New York or California or anywhere else, but the Breeders' Cup was home, and off of his impressive career debut, McPeak took a shot, put him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he was no match for Essential Quality and Company, and he finished nowhere, ran one more time as a 2-year-old, and that was it. McPeak gave him the winter off, brought him back in summer at Churchill Downs, and his career just really didn't take off. A couple of nondescript races on dirt, and McPeak decided, you know what, this horse has some turf pedigree. He's bred for turf, actually, sired by Summerfront. Let's give him a shot on a surface switch. So he put him on turf, and Camp Hope finished third, a good third, at 44-1. Came right back in his next start, finished third again, improved 7 points on the Beyer scale, and his last 2 starts have been quite impressive. 2 starts back at Keeneland on a course labeled good. He won for fun by more than 5 lengths, a one other than against Older, a 3-year-old facing Older, and Camp Hope won for fun. And then he came right back last time out in the Bay Station at Keeneland, and he produced a similar effort. He won clear by more than 2 lengths. This is a good horse on his way up. He will be running on firm ground Saturday at Del Mar. His 2 most recent starts were on turf courses that were labeled wet. They were labeled good and soft. I don't see any reason why Camp Hope will not be able to handle a firm turf course. Brian Hernandez is Camp Hope's regular rider. So why is Tiago Pereira riding Camp Hope? Well, it's because Hernandez is riding 7 or 8 2-year-olds for McPeak on Saturday at Churchill Downs, including the favorites in the Goldenrod Stakes and the Kentucky Jockey Club, those being Sandstone and Tiz the Bomb. So Hernandez rides regularly for McPeak. He could have come out here and ridden one good horse for McPeak, or stayed home and ridden a whole ton of good 2-year-olds, including the stakes favorites, those being Sandstone and Tiz the Bomb. So that's why Pereira is taking over for Brian Hernandez. I respect Camp Hope. He's a good horse, and he is rock solid in this race. Shipped early this week to Del Mar, and he will give a good account of himself. He's kind of similar to Subconscious in that he has a forwardly placed running style, but he also can deliver a finishing kick. Camp Hope is drawn in post 11. We talked about post position with Subconscious. It's possible that those outside post positions will compromise Camp Hope and or Subconscious. Maybe they won't, but they could. And from the outside draw at 1 1/8 on grass at Del Mar, you're up against it. Okay, let's talk about the horse that I want to bet on. I didn't pick him on top, but his name is Cathkin Peak. And Cathkin Peak, another import from Europe that trainer Phil D'Amato has turned into a very good horse. Cathkin Peak, by the way, has not won a race this year, whereas his 3 main rivals, Camp Hope, Subconscious, and Public Sector, are all entering the Hollywood Derby on a win streak. Cathkin Peak has not won since last year, but we know he's a good horse. He won his U.S. debut in a maiden race, came right back and won the Eddie Logan, finished second in the Pasadena, and then he got the winter off and came back in summer. Now, his campaign has taken a little bit of time to unfold. In his comeback race in the La Jolla, he was too fresh. He ran off. He got keen. He was unrelaxed, and he completely backed up. But his next 2 starts, a 4th and a 2nd, were outstanding performances. One of them was in the Del Mar Derby, and one of them was in the Twilight Derby. In both those races, he was ridden by Jose Valdivia. He gets a huge jockey switch on Saturday to Flavian Pratt. And the reason for the jock change, I believe, I'm fairly confident this is the reason, is because I sensed some unease with the connections of Cathkin Peak regarding the trips that Cathkin Peak got in his last 2 starts. So we're going to take a look and see the reason for the jockey change. This is the Del Mar Derby. And Cathkin Peak is not going to have a good trip at all. He's second to last down on the inside, and he's going to end up in a whole lot of trouble through the stretch. That's him cutting. He's going to cut the corner. It's fine. You save ground, you cut the corner. That's how you ride a grass race. And I can't fault Jose Valdivia, but things got a little dicey late. He did not have a clean trip. He had to wait, nowhere to really run, and he didn't have a fair chance. And I'm not saying he would have won, but he certainly could have finished closer. Next time out, you saw what happened. That was the start of the Twilight Derby. Yeah, it was a 1 1/8 grass race, but you cannot break slowly, whether you're racing 5 furlongs on dirt or a 1 1/8 on grass. You cannot concede the start like that. If you break slowly, you are compromised. So that's the reason, I believe, why Flavien Prat is taking over. And we all know that Flavien Prat is the best jockey in California, bar none. It's not even close to the next couple of guys, including Juan Hernandez, who's a terrific jockey in his own right. But Prat is good. And when he jumps on a horse for the first time, you can expect at least a good trip or a better trip than Cathkin Peak got in his last 2 starts. Trouble through the lane in the Del Mar Derby, virtually eliminated at the break last time out in the Twilight Derby. So he's my second selection. He's listed at 6-1, and I will be betting on him. But the horse to beat is trained by Chad Brown, and he's coming in from New York, and his name is Public Sector. Public Sector was a good 2-year-old last year as well, and he's become an even better 3-year-old this year. And talking to Brown early this week, he can't wait till this horse is 4 and he can stretch out to 1 1/4 and maybe even beyond. He thinks that Public Sector is that type of horse, kind of a domestic spending type of horse, a horse that's a good 3-year-old that can become an even better 4-year-old. And Public Sector is very good already. He's made 9 starts, 5 wins, 3 seconds, and his 2 most recent starts have been the best of his career. Let's look at his most recent start, and then we'll go back and look at his previous start. This was in the Hill Prince at Belmont Park, and that's a horse by the name of Never Surprised up on the front end. Never Surprised looked like he had this race in the bag, but here comes Public Sector to wear down Never Surprised in the Hill Prince at Belmont, and it was a duplication of what he did at Saratoga in the Saranac. Same situation. There's Never Surprised up on the front end, has the race won, and here comes Public Sector defeating Never Surprised for the first time. Then he came right back and did it again at Belmont Park. So the point is this: Public Sector defeated a very good horse, 2 consecutive races, a good horse that got a good trip, setting the pace. Now, what about Never Surprised? Why is he not out here for the Hollywood Derby? Well, it's because he runs Friday at Belmont Park in race number 8, the $150,000 Gio Stakes, and Never Surprised is listed as the 4-5 favorite in the program in the Gio. If Never Surprised wins the Gio, as he is expected to do at odds on, that will further validate the form of Public Sector. Not that Public Sector needs validation, but it would flatter his form a little bit. My point is that Public Sector defeated a good horse. That good horse runs Friday. Okay, that's a wrap for the Hollywood Derby. Public Sector is my top selection. Yes, he's the 5-2 favorite. I don't mind betting my second preference when the price discrepancy is as big as I think it's going to be, because Cathkin Peak is listed at 6-1 and Public Sector is listed at 5-2. So look, I'm going to have my money on my second preference due to the price discrepancy. We're looking for Cathkin Peak to score an upset over Public Sector in the Hollywood Derby. Race 9, Saturday at Del Mar.
Hi everybody, Dan Oman here, wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving week and letting you know of DRF's special twist on a traditional Black Friday sale. Head on over to shop.drf.com. We're offering up to 50% off select DRF products, including Classic and Formulator PPs, picks, clocker reports, DRF Plus, the DRF digital paper, and lots more. Everybody gets 20% off these select products. However, DRF Bets members get an additional 30% off, total discount 50%. Now's the time to stock up on DRF products. If you're not a DRF Bets member yet, what are you waiting for? The time to join is now. Get 50% off select DRF products at shop.drf.com. Use the code BLFRI21.